We've all been told to set better boundaries, like it's some magical fix for burnout or bad bosses. But here's the truth. Most people think they're setting boundaries when they're really just stating wishes or venting frustrations. Saying, I don't like being interrupted, isn't a boundary, it's a feeling. A real boundary has a clear action and consequence. If I keep getting interrupted, I'll leave the meeting and follow up in writing, something like that. So in today's episode, I'm breaking down what a boundary actually is, why yours aren't working, and exactly what to say so people take you seriously. If you've ever felt invisible, overextended, or quietly resentful at work, this one's for you. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the podcast. Very excited to be here today to talk about my favorite topic, boundaries. So what exactly is a boundary? A boundary is not a demand, a request, stating a feeling. It's a clear action you take to protect your time, your energy, your values. I want you to think of it as the line you draw and what you'll do if someone crosses it. I call this part the teeth of a boundary, and that's what really separates a boundary from a feeling. So, and I want to be clear that boundaries aren't about controlling other people. They're really about taking responsibility for yourself. You're not a victim. This is about you and holding them. You're not saying, you can't talk to me that way. You're saying, if you talk to me that way, I'm leaving the conversation. That's the difference between hoping for respect and requiring respect. Okay? So here's why your boundaries aren't sticking. And you might not want to hear this next part, but I'm going to say it with love, of course, as I always do. If people aren't taking your boundaries seriously, it's because you trained them not to. I say with all the love in my heart, you co-create every relationship you're in. So you have waffled, you've apologized, you've made exceptions. Oh, well, this time, okay. You've said things like, normally I don't answer emails after 6, but, and that's all anyone needs to blow right past your line that you think you've drawn. So, don't beat yourself up. This isn't about shame. It's about retraining your environment, retraining your workplace, your coworkers, your boss, whoever, your people. And to do that, you need a system, one that isn't based on emotion or your mood or wishful thinking. And that brings us to something, I'm always coming up with a new acronym, okay? I'm always coming up with something to help you remember what I talk about. So I started calling this the Brave Boundary Method. I have not trademarked that, but I think I could. Sorry, sip of water. So let me explain this. So if boundaries are a big issue for you, I'm going to lovingly suggest that you get I have a book called Boundaries Made Easy. If you're watching on YouTube, it's right behind me. There's even a Boundaries Made Easier workbook. In both, I dive way deeper. I give a ton of tips and worksheets you can use to get great at boundaries. So if this is an issue for you, you can go look. There's lots of 5-star reviews for the books. I'm really proud of them. They're really good. If you don't want to spend a penny, I'm helping you right now. Okay. And you can also search for the term boundaries on my website. I have a ton of free information for you. So, if you want me to hold your hand and walk you through it, buy the book. If you want to figure it out yourself from everything I have out there, God bless. It's all there. Do a little searching. So for now, though, I want to give you something that's not in my books. Okay. That I'm taking kind of from everything I've taught and I'm condensing it down a little bit for you. So if you like this, again, you'll love the other stuff I have. It's a 5-step method you can use at work today, at home today. I mean, this is workplace therapy, but you could use this anywhere. You can remember it with the acronym BRAVE, okay, BRAVE. And it really distills the 5 steps I teach in, companies and coaching and keynotes. It really distills everything. And here's how it works. So the B is to be clear and concrete. Again, don't say I'm slammed. Say I'm available after 5:30 and I won't be responding to messages until tomorrow morning. There you go. People don't respond to ambiguity. They respond to clarity. When you have vague boundaries, they don't work because they leave way too much room for interpretation and for people's, everyone else has their own agendas. And let's be honest, other people's interpretation usually sounds like, oh, she didn't mean me, right? They didn't mean me. The R of the brave, the R is repeating. I'm going to say only once, and no justifying, okay? Repeat only once and no justifying. I'm going to even say, I don't like you to repeat it all, but I give people maybe once. Once you set a boundary, once you say, I do not answer emails after 6 p.m., don't repeat it. Again, maybe one more time. And never, ever, ever give reasons why. You don't owe anyone a PowerPoint presentation on why you're unavailable. The more you explain, and this is true because it's happened to you, the more you explain, the more you justify, the more they'll find a workaround or poke holes in your logic, right? So maybe a coworker says, hey, can you just squeeze this in tonight? And you say, I'm not free this evening. And your coworker goes, what? But why? Are you just going to dinner or something? Do you see where this is going? And all I want you to do is go, as I said, I'm not available this evening. Rinse, repeat. Smile if you're feeling spicy. Okay? Do not explain, well, I already told my wife I would do something, or I already told my partner I would do, because they're going to go, oh, come on, this will just take a minute. Don't give any room. Stop explaining yourself. Say it with a smile, say it however you want to do it, and then maybe you can repeat it, but don't keep repeating it. After I usually only say it once, but if I've said it a second time, I just sit there as they ask. And trust me, they'll run out of steam. They'll ask again, so you're not going to do it? And there I am just smiling. If you're watching on YouTube, you see me smiling. If you're just listening, it just got quiet. I'm just quiet. I just keep staring at them like, so that's a no. And I just keep smiling and staring. Guess what? Then they walk away. That's what happens. They lose steam. Telling you, works. The A for brave, BR, we've done. A is align with priorities. Your boundaries must align with your goals, or no one will respect them, including you. If you're setting limits just to feel less stressed, it's too abstract. Your brain doesn't know how to process that and how to hold on to that. So instead, you want to filter all requests through your sort of professional priorities. So you want to ask yourself, does this move me towards my top 3 outcomes this quarter or for today? Is this mine to handle, or am I rescuing someone? Another thing you can ask. Is this urgent or just poorly planned? Boundaries are easier to hold when you're protecting something that matters to you. It's not just about saying no, it's about saying yes to what's most important. And this is true. Like if you're trying to lose weight and you're just sort of out there, oh, I want to feel healthier, forget it. Forget it. It's nothing it's so vague. You're likely not going to stick to any eating plan or anything else. You have to be very, very specific. I feel so self-conscious when I walk into a room, because my pants feel really tight. I don't want to feel that way anymore. You get into the feeling of it. You really see yourself walking into a room feeling great in your pants, being like, my butt looks good, whatever, right? You have to get attached to something. It can't be so vague. All right. The V in the brave boundary method is to validate without caving in. So you can be compassionate and still say no. I always feel like I'm compassionate. I understand when someone's coming at me with I need you to answer this by 6 o'clock tonight. It's because they probably got behind. They're putting out a fire. So I can be compassionate. You might say things like, I know this is frustrating. I just said something the other day. Oh, I told someone, I said, I know you're in a tough spot. I said that. If I had capacity, I'd help. That's actually probably too far because they might then push you there. But whatever you say, I know you're in a tough spot. That's it. Stop talking. I know it's so hard. It's so hard. Bite your tongue. Okay. Again, boundaries don't require you to be cold or robotic. As a matter of fact, I think boundaries are the opposite. I think I always say it, they're love. They're from a loving, and I don't mean like you love your coworkers. I mean, it's from a kind, compassionate place for everybody, for yourself, for them, for everybody. They require you to be steady, to be consistent. And, some validation can help the other person feel seen and often takes the fight out of their pushback while you're holding a line. Okay. And that brings me to the E in Brave, which is to expect pushback. You're not being dramatic, you're being strategic. Pushback isn't a sign that your boundary is wrong. Quite the opposite. It's a sign that it was long overdue. I always say the angrier they get, the more you needed this boundary a longer time ago. People often resist the first few times you hold a boundary, of course, especially if you've been the go-to always say yes person. So you should expect it. Let it come and stick to your line. You don't have to get angry at anybody. You don't have to get pissed that they're pushing. You hold your line. Remember, you co-created this relationship. They're acting this way because in the past you've given in. So you've trained them to do this. Now you're training them for something different. I say with love. So, and I'm going to tell you that I think boundaries matter now more than ever, because definitely since the pandemic, we've seen it. And we know from the research, and I'll link to that research, we know that since the pandemic, the average global workday has increased by almost an hour, and that's globally. So remote workers experience more burnout than those who are in the office, okay? From the research, and 76% of workers say job stress affects their mental health. I know. In the US, about 75% of employees report feeling burned out at least sometimes, and roughly 25% feel burned out very often or always. Again, I'll link to all the research. You know where I do it in the show notes or below the video if you're watching on YouTube. Burned out employees are more likely to take sick days, visit the ER, and feel disconnected from their families. That's what you're risking here. So so in other words, boundaries aren't just a nicety. They're essential for your mental health and your physical health. They're essential for your relationships, for your performance, okay? So let me give you a few scripts because I love you. I'm going to give you a few scripts right now for this brave boundary method in action. So your boss pings you late at night. The next day, don't do it. The next day, say, I saw your message come in after hours. I'm responding now. If you're up and you can't help yourself, you could say, I saw your message, come in after hours. I'll respond first thing in the morning. If you have a coworker who's trying to guilt you into more work, you can just say, I'm at capacity this week and can't take that on. You just say what it is. If your calendar is feeling hijacked by back-to-back meetings, just state it. I need a buffer in my afternoons to do focused work. I'm unavailable for recurring meetings between 1 and 3 p.m. Do you see it? And then you have to stick to that. That's always the thing, the teeth, right? If you don't stick to it and you're just expecting them to, that's where we get into the victim BS, and that's where we get into trouble. And if someone challenges your no, which they will, you can say, I know it's frustrating. I wish I could help. I'm not available. And then they might say, well, I don't understand what you're doing. You can say, I'm not available. Again, just don't get into that. When you're feeling pressure to justify or explain yourself, you say, I've made a commitment to a hard stop at 5:30. Let me know if we need to reprioritize, something like that. Okay. Now, what if your boss is the problem? If your manager or boss is the one bulldozing your boundary or boundaries, I think it's time to lean on clarity. I have a strategy I call I'm confused. It's the I'm confused strategy. I'm confused. You might say that, I'm confused. The priorities we've outlined take about 10 hours a day to complete. Are you asking me to work 10-hour days consistently? I'm confused. And, it's not about calling them out. It's about clarifying expectations. I work with leadership. I'm telling you, a lot of times leaders say things they don't realize how much time it's actually going to take. And when you push back a little yourself and just go, or you can say to them, or is there something else you want me to take off the plate to put this on top? So, I'm just letting you know if I do this report for the Joneses, then I'm not going to get to this other one for 2 weeks. Is that okay? Get them in with what you're doing, because I'm telling you, they will start to realize they don't know otherwise. If you just keep doing it, they're just going to keep pouring it on. Most managers aren't trying to push you past your limits. They're really not. They're just unaware of how unrealistic the workload has become. So when you calmly state the facts and stay in problem solving mode, you give them a chance to collaborate instead of dominate. But if you don't do that and then you just bitch and moan about it, I don't know, you're not getting anywhere, okay? Boundaries aren't trained. Boundaries are trained. Boundaries are trained. They're not told. You don't tell someone a boundary. You train someone how to hold your boundary. You don't just set them. You teach them. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? And like any good training, it requires consistency on your part, reinforcement on your part, and follow through on your part. You're not going to get applause. You're probably going to get a little side eye, but I'm telling you, you're going to get more respect. You're going to get more energy, more time for the work that matters. And most importantly, you're going to stop resenting everyone around you. And that's the big win. As you know, with workplace therapy, with this podcast, I have a little section called Put Today's Lesson into Action. So if this topic resonates with you and you want more support, you can download my free Brave Boundary Toolkit. It's just like a one-pager. I'm doing these for every episode. It's got the full Brave Boundary method I just described. It has scripts you can use immediately. It has reflection questions to help you like clarify your most important limits, so you're not just setting limits everywhere. So it's a great download. Again, you can get it below the video if you're watching on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. If otherwise, you can come to the website, abbymetcalf.com, and just come, navigate over to this episode, and all the research, everything I've talked about, every download will be there. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And definitely let me know future topics. You can email me at abby@abbymetcalf.com or leave a comment below the video. Have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you real soon.